Okay, hello. My name is François Till. I'm Director of Cybersecurity and Digital Technologies at the Ministry of the Economy here in Luxembourg, which is, like you might imagine, not a huge ministry because Luxembourg is not huge. And that is also the reason why we are capable of fast collaborating, fast decision taking, and fast advancing. Sometimes it's not the case, but normally it is the case. I would like to give you a talk about 21 years, what happened in the last 21 years, and why we are going to open an OSPO in Luxembourg. The reason is we have to. So what I would like to talk about is actually an introduction into cybersecurity in Luxembourg, how it started. Then what is our approach? It is very specific. It is really different from many other countries, because it's economy-driven. Today's challenges and why we radically increase the scope of the things we are doing because we have to do it. So, the Luxembourg ecosystem, meaning the companies, government, actors, and so on in Luxembourg, is quite mature. It is not big enough because there are still a lot of needs, but it's mature. We have around 311 private companies, we have 40 public actors, and we have 12 certs. That is really an astonishing number for a country with 600,000 people. To have 12 certs does not mean we have a lot of incidents, but that means we are capable of handling incidents, which is really, really important nowadays. The trigger event for me being here is actually I Love You virus. I don't know if you remember, it's in 2000, an email, I love you, everybody opened it, everybody helped to spread the virus. Actually it was super inoffensive, but it ingested all the networks that were used at that point. And then in this year, I did, I think, the most important investment in my life. That was, I was given 25,000 euro to invest in cybersecurity, invest in cybersecurity in Luxembourg. Because we understood that actually this event, the I Love You virus, is such a simple thing done by a young boy, a young man, could have such nefarious consequences, pushed us as a Ministry of Economy to address this topic. There's a second investment I did in my life which changed my life. That was the financing of the first Hackaloo in Luxembourg, because this introduced really high-tech cybersecurity competencies in Luxembourg with Alexandre, who is the Papa, hello, Papa of Hackaloo. And what is super interesting, the first initiative was collaborative. It was initiated by Belgium with a Swiss name called CASIS, Cyber World Awareness Security Enhancement Structure, which was not a very good name, but we took it and we launched it, and out of it became actually a large entity headed by the Ministry of Economy doing cybersecurity for good in Luxembourg. Our first collaborators came from Belgium, Germany, Italy, and Switzerland. They are still very, very good partners today. We know them since many, many years. Actually, me since 21 years. Over all these years, 21 years, the challenges stayed the same. Raise awareness about cybersecurity, about what not to do as a user. Try to build capacity, follow the needs of the industry, and address the different technologies of offense that we identify. And of course, national and international collaboration. But we still face, since these 21 years, the same limiting factors: lack of skills, cost and complexity of cybersecurity solutions. They are getting worse and worse, these discriminatory factors. and the secrecy of incidents, vulnerabilities, and threats, which is actually an absolute catastrophe. That is, if you would be working in meteorology, you will not tell anybody if it rains, if there's hail, or if it's getting cold. You have no early warning system. Actually, you share no data, so you have no meteorology. Our approach in cybersecurity. Well, since 2001, we started easy gathering threat intelligence. Well, we do it still today. It's getting more and more difficult because the threat actors are more and more skilled, industrialized, and even collaborating amongst themselves. We try to translate this threat intelligence into awareness-raising messages. Don't open every attachment in your mail if you don't know the originator of the mail, and so on. Translate threat intelligence into risk management. That is cool. That is really interesting because we experienced in our business life that most people base their risk management upon suppositions, upon guessing, producing absolutely aleatoire results. If you don't have the facts, like threat intelligence, probability of threats, ease of exploitation of vulnerabilities, well, you are guessing. Feeding threat intelligence into protection mechanisms. Well, that's a big job because today the threat intelligence is actually managed by an oligopoly of companies gathering threat intelligence within our systems and selling them to those who can afford them. And there are not many who can afford them. And of course, finding tools and services that are affordable and manageable. A bakery and a small SME will not be able to buy or manage high-tech cybersecurity tools. That is a serious problem because even the bakery is in the supply chain of our banks. So we defined and clarified our leitmotifs in 2014, and it's not surprising, but it's interesting that a Minister of Economy says that cybersecurity is an important factor of attractiveness. If your ecosystem can provide services and products that can help your ecosystem to protect itself, well, it's interesting. It is an attractive thing because you're maybe mutualizing skills, mutualizing efforts, and protecting your environment. The other thing is, cybersecurity is highly discriminatory in terms of cost and complexity. And what we also understood since the beginning, it's highly collaborative. So today's challenges, today, 2024, well, there's an industrialization of threats. Threat, the principle is everybody against everybody. One of the trigger events of this anybody against anybody is the 2012 revelations. I don't know if the Snowden revelations of 2012. I don't know if you remember. The consequences for the US were nil. That was an appeal. Go, just do it, because nobody will ever criticize you, will ever stop you, will ever do anything against you. So it's anybody against anybody. But the problems are increasing because we have something like what Bruce Schneier called a class break, meaning we have a monoculture of systems. If you hack one of them, well, you hack them all. So the situation is getting really dangerous. Like I said, we have also an oligopoly of companies, 3, 4, who are dealing with all the threat intelligence. They are very expensive, and they are very probably biased. 80% of the value chain, of our value chain, is badly or not protected at all. We understood during the COVID crisis what this could mean if your value chain, supply chain is not working. Well, imagine 80% of the economy is switched off with one cyber attack on a monocultural system. And regulation today with DORA NIS2 risks to eject all these companies, these small SMEs that are working in Europe, that have not the money to protect themselves, have not the skills, or they cannot recruit skilled people. With DORA and NIS2, we risk really to eject them because they are not compliant anymore. Luxembourg has taken the decision to help these companies to grow in cybersecurity in order that we do not get them exchanged yet again against oligopolistic companies from outside of Europe. And the consequence we drew is actually no economy in the world will survive the next all-out cyber war, because all the SMEs will fail. We have what we call in economy, we have a seller's market. That is another problem. There's the demand in cybersecurity is much, much higher than the offer. The consequence is very high prices. Why should I change a business model which is working? Why should I go to so many SMEs if I can service the banks and they pay whatever I ask? That is the situation for the moment. And because of this, we have a serious market failure in cybersecurity on different aspects. First one is threat intelligence. Second one is in service industry, because you cannot buy as an SME a high-value cybersecurity service because it's not available. It will be sold for a high price to a deep-pocket company who can afford it. That is why we have taken the decision 4 years ago to radically increase the scope of our work in cybersecurity in Luxembourg. What we do until now is actually, we are very, very open source minded. Very open source minded. Alex, head of Circle, one of the directors of the Luxembourg House of Cybersecurity. They are running 19 very large cybersecurity projects in open source with large communities. We know it works. We see it works. And what is super interesting, they not only contribute or use the software, but they also exchange data. And that is a dimension which is, in our opinion, super important, that you link open source to data. It is cool to have software, but in cybersecurity you also need data. If you don't have the data, you have no threat intelligence, you don't know what you should protect yourself against. So we have gathered as one entity, one cert of about 12 people, 2 petabytes of cybersecurity relevant data, which is available for entities who would like to develop solutions for SMEs. So fostering the national and international collaboration is important. That is what we do, that is what Alex do, that is what LHC is doing, but with the intention of capitalizing synergies. What is happening today in the world? Luxembourg has 12 certs. If we would not collaborate, every of these 12 certs would analyze the same malicious activity, would come to the same conclusions, and would individually research cybersecurity being super slow, ineffective. In sharing threat intelligence and code, we see there's a super potential in lowering prices and growing the offer in cybersecurity tools in Europe. And that is a way we definitely have to go. Because we cannot afford anymore to just sell products that 20% of the economy can afford. And the whole value chain, supply chain, is dying. Until now, priority of a cert of an LHC is early warning, incident response, informed governance, meaning risk management that makes sense based on actual figures of probabilities of threats, ease of exploitation of vulnerabilities and so on, as well as capacity building in similar teams. We are even active in Africa because we believe that Africa, who jumped so many technological things, has to build up cybersecurity competencies. Otherwise, their positive development is really, really threatened. So what are we doing? We are enlarging the scope. The intention of the Ministry of Economy is to make cybersecurity an open data economy, meaning an economy that is based on data, because you need data in order to recognize threats, to talk about vulnerabilities, to talk about efficiency of protective measures, to open this. Because we have seen that the team of Alex with MISP, for instance, malware information sharing platform, they are capable of gathering data. The data is there. They are sharing it with a lot of people, with a lot of entities all over the world. Well, we also have to share it with innovation so that it can be beneficial for smaller companies. That is why we are now starting a project called Klausen, which is going to create open source cybersecurity tools. For us, it will be running on OpenEBOLA, on an edge cloud technology, and we will create the very first open cybersecurity data space in the world. Both things are so important that others, the community, those servicing, for instance, SMEs, can take up the challenge, start from this open source technology, from the open data, and create products for those 80% of the market who have nothing. What we are going to do is data collection, of course. That is what you do normally in cybersecurity, data analytics, collaborative SOC and CERT tools running on the cloud. Because how do you manage a cloud incident? You don't even have the phone number of your cloud provider. That is a challenge. Endpoint protection, intrusion detection, SOC tools. And, not to forget, pseudonymization. Creation of this data marketplace will also be included, because not everybody will be willing to share high added value data in cybersecurity. They might still be wanting to sell something. This is also foreseen, but we give a very high priority to those who do open source software and share the data. I would like to say that an European state aid regulation, that is the regulation that tells me in what condition I can give money to companies, is foreseeing open source. It is allowing me to give 15% more money to a company doing open source. That is what we are definitely going to do. Because we will be doing calls, open cybersecurity calls, cross-country SME calls, because you can come up to 80% of state aid intensity if you collaborate with us on this kind of creation of solutions for SMEs. So we have really the ambition to democratize cybersecurity, also addressing complexity and costs through massive and open collaboration, by providing the basic tools you need to do service industry in cybersecurity. The companies all over the world, because it's an open cybersecurity data space, it is an open software, can innovate, can get funding from the governments in order to produce tools for the SMEs and the companies. So the cross-border GBA calls, I call them, there's a general block exemption regulation for SMEs, goes up to 80%. And we have already contacted like-minded countries in Europe who are super interested in including their ecosystem of cybersecurity development companies to this thing. That is why I said we are really forced as a society to open or to create an OSPO. We call it Resource Center until yesterday. Since today we called it an OSPO, so that we can really provide cybersecurity tools and services to our economy. The proof of my commitment is actually the Luxembourg Cybersecurity Strategy, fourth version 21-25. You will find discussing the open cybersecurity data space. In the Luxembourg Digital Decade trajectory, we have drawn the OSPO is included, the open source software is included, and the data space is included. In the AI Factories call we are just writing now, cybersecurity is for Luxembourg one of the pillars we would like to invest a lot of money in AI, with, again, the goal to create tools for SMEs. The AI strategy coming out in March 25, same. Cybersecurity is one of our core interests because we have to democratize this technology. Strategy of data, cybersecurity is should be an open data ecosystem, and the cascading funding from the European Cybersecurity Competence Center supports these initiatives. Thank you very much.